In the 1970s, a 23-year-old woman in West Germany was subjected to 67 Catholic exorcisms over a single year. She did not survive. But before her story became a global spectacle, Anneliese Michel was a deeply devout Catholic teenager growing up in an ordinary West German town. At age 16, her body betrayed her. She was struck by severe, violent physical convulsions. Soon after, the visions began. She reported seeing terrifying demonic faces flashing in her mind. The quiet, predictable life she knew warped into a waking nightmare. Her parents, watching their daughter's reality distort in front of them, desperately searched for answers. And they started by placing their faith in modern medicine. Anneliese was pulled out of her familiar life and brought into the clinical world of 1970s psychiatric care. Doctors gave her a concrete scientific diagnosis: temporal lobe epilepsy, paired with psychosis. They explained it as a neurological short circuit. Her brain was misfiring and conjuring up horrors. For 5 agonizing years, Anneliese obediently swallowed her prescribed psychiatric medications. But instead of fading, the voices grew louder. The hallucinations became more severe. By the end of that 5-year stretch, she faced a terrifying reality. She had followed every medical order, taken every pill, and obeyed every specialist, yet the faces were still there. The clinical world had run out of answers. Out of pure, terrifying desperation, her family abandoned the hospital wards. They turned to the ancient religious tradition of the Catholic Church. Her symptoms had shifted dramatically. She was now displaying shocking physical strength, eating insects off the floor, and violently recoiling at the mere sight of a crucifix. Local priests viewed this not as a medical failure, but as an ancient spiritual infection. The bishop officially authorized the Roman ritual, treating her affliction as an invading force that needed to be purged. What followed was a brutal test of human endurance. Over the next 10 months, Anneliese underwent 67 separate exorcism rites. Some of these sessions lasted up to 4 grueling hours. By classifying her condition as a spiritual battle, the Church initiated a rigorous, punishing treatment plan that ignored the needs of her failing physical body. A hard line was drawn. Medical doctors were strictly absent from every single ritual, and the family ceased all medical consultations. Inside, Anneliese was stretched to her absolute limit, caught between her deep religious convictions on one side and her deteriorating neurological health on the other. Over a year, adherence to these 2 isolated systems physically broke her down. She stopped eating. Anneliese died of severe malnutrition and dehydration, weighing just 66 pounds. Anneliese perished in the disconnect between these 2 unyielding systems. Her physical body required medical intervention, but her spiritual environment demanded total isolation. She died because these 2 institutions occupied the same house, but refused to speak the same language. The state stepped in immediately. Prosecutors charged her parents and the 2 priests with negligent homicide. During the trial, medical experts testified that Anneliese's death could have been prevented with basic medical intervention as late as 1 week before she died. The court found all 4 defendants guilty. The trial forced society to publicly confront a horrific reality: the lethal consequences of choosing absolute dogma over basic human care. The Michel case eventually pushed theology to look past its own rigid walls. Modern researchers began to explore a more holistic view, one where the biological and the spiritual are not separate battles, but a single intertwined experience. We have a deep urge to force human suffering into strict boxes, labeling a crisis as strictly natural or strictly supernatural, but doing so often prevents us from addressing the actual problem. Have we become so obsessed with separating science and spirituality that we forget the human caught in the middle? True healing requires seeing the whole person. Thanks for watching. Keep questioning the world around you, and I'll see you in the next one.